please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Well, the breadth of the market is getting better at least because the mid-cap index is doing a relative outperformance if you compare it with the headline index. Take a look at a few stocks that should come up for you on the screen. Rain Industries, the stock has done a sharp U-turn from the low point of the day. GNA Axles as well, I think we can get that stock as well up for you. And Indico Remedies, just take a look at all these three stocks. They have recovered a goodish bit from the low point of the day. So pretty good going, at least from the broader markets. And we were tracking that advance number. When we started the show, it was nearly 500. Then, in fact, it went to around 575.90. And now, in fact, it's at around 625 stocks that are advancing. So gradually, they're coming closer to each other. We'll wait by for the European market to see whether or not this pullback is sustainable or, in fact, this is going to get sold into. So we'll keep an eye out on that front. But for the time being, how do you trade the Nifty? Sudarshan Sukhani is with us, Mitesh Thakkar, as well as Prakash Kaba. Good day, gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining in. Sudarshan, coming across to you first. What's your take, on the index? At these levels, is there a trade? And if there is a trade, then what would it be?
Yeah. Good morning, Nigel. Good afternoon, rather.
Good day. Yeah.
Actually, there are two trades in the Nifty. One is an intraday trade. That intraday trade is to be long in the Nifty. As we speak, momentum is strong and there is an intraday buying opportunity for another 20 or 30 points of gains. Okay. That trade is valid right now. The second much bigger trade is on a larger time frame where you carry the position. That trade is bearish. Sometimes it happens that we have an intraday current which is favorable, but a larger picture which remains unfavorable. The larger picture is that we are in some kind of a correction. We should use these elevated levels to buy puts in the Nifty, assuming that this is a relief rally and in the next few days we will see lower levels. So essentially there are two trades. The larger trade still remains bearish.
Got your point, Sudarshan. Mitesh, what's your call on the index?
Yeah, good afternoon. So we've been maintaining a negative stance. I think this bounce back is going on, and I agree with Sudarshan when he said that the larger trend remains more on the negative side. So the idea should be to sell on rallies. I think 10,700, 720 on the Nifty would be a good selling zone, and keep a stop about 10,750. A retest of 10,570, 550 is very likely, and I think eventually over the next few days we might even break below that.
All right, Prakash, coming across to you then with regard to the Nifty. I remember that level very, very closely.
Yes, you better remember.
So, you were calling for a top a few days ago, but yeah. On the downside, if you could help us out with where do you see support for the Nifty?
10,517, 507. That's a strong support zone. We could come there, but that's not the end of the support zone. Perhaps then we could see a rally up again, and then again a shorting opportunities will come in because the larger trend certainly is up. Even today, I'm looking to short. Already had one short trade, made money. I'm looking to short the market. Where I still do not know, but I'm looking for an opportunity to short the market. If someone wants to short it and take it forward for tomorrow or day after, short it here. Have a deeper stop about 10,817, and play the short side. You will get some opportunities on the short side, definitely. That's the larger trend. Intraday, I'm not buying.
Okay. Sudarshan, let me come to you then. If the call is that there could be a near-term bounce, what are the stocks you're looking to trade?
Yeah, you're right. It's a near-term bounce, but it's an intraday bounce. Don't carry a long trade at all overnight. For the day, we have ITC as a buying opportunity. ITC has shown surprising strength. It's been an outperformer on Friday and today, and maybe this stock will do its own thing even if and when the Nifty starts falling again. So ITC is a buy, and you could actually consider going long in it whenever you can. The second buying idea is Bajaj Auto, a large trading range, a breakout, a setback to that price on Friday. Everything fell, but again today it is showing some strength. So there are two buying ideas. Try to keep them intraday, but ITC you could focus on again and again on other days also. One short sell, Hind Petro. We have BPCL as a short sell. Hind Petro is in the same category, falling day after day. That's an easy short.
All right. Thanks so much, Sudarshan, for joining in and in fact giving us your view. Good to have you on the show as always. But Mitesh, coming across to you, you have some trading ideas for us. Fill us in.
Yeah, Nigel, two FMCG stocks, one on the long side, one on the short side. I have Godrej Consumer as a buy recommendation. 1220 is a good support. So buy with, 1020 is a good support. So buy with the stop just below that. Look for targets around 1060. While Marico appears to be getting into some kind of a declining mode. So that's a sell. Keep a stop at 305. Look for targets of 285.
Okay. Prakash, you too have a long and a short idea?
Absolutely. But I must correct here one thing. There is a up move available. But personally, I don't like to take an up move. So there, what Sudarshan says is correct. Yes, there is an up move available. I wouldn't like to take it because a larger trend is down. If I have short, preference would be for short side. But yes, there is an up move available here. If a professional trader can still make money on the long side. Two stocks, one long, one short. Tata Motors looks good to me. Looks like it can climb to levels closer to 495 zones, or maybe 403. Wait a minute. Yeah, Tata Motors can climb to correct levels, 403 zones, stop below 395.
So the Nifty is climbing back towards 10,700 odd. We're now down 0.7%. Even the Sensex is now cut its losses down to about 250 odd points. But make no mistake, it's still quite a tough day of trade. The Nifty Bank now down 300 points. But let's just focus to the earnings that are due today. Tata Motors is the biggest, reporting the Q3 numbers. Sonia is here with a quick analysis of what the market is expecting. Sonia.
Well, thanks a lot for that, Sumera. The market is going in with very low expectations. If you look at the stock performance, the stock has been the biggest underperformer in the auto space in the last 1 year. It's down almost about 30-odd%. But this quarter has been a mixed one for Tata Motors. The Jaguar Land Rover business has been muted, you'd have to say. The revenue growth is expected to be almost about 17-odd% for the consolidated business. But for JLR particularly, they've seen volume growth of just about 4 to 4.5-odd% on a year-on-year basis. Now they are, shifting to a couple of new models in the Range Rover line, and because of that, the older models were not getting sold, and in that because of the transition, the volumes were impacted this quarter. Not just that, to clear off the older Range Rover Sports inventory, higher incentives were given out as well, and that could impact the operational performance a bit. But what the street is looking forward to is a big turnaround in the standalone business. Remember, commercial vehicle sales are at all-time highs for the sector as a whole. This time around as well, the volumes have been very good for Tata Motors in the CV segment. CV volumes are up 35%. Overall standalone volumes are up almost about 30%. Passenger vehicle volumes have also increased by 17.5%. Although the standalone business is a very, very small portion of Tata Motors' overall sales and earnings, the fact was that a lot of the cash of the parent company was being invested to fund the losses in the standalone business. If we do see a big recovery here, then it will be taken as a huge positive. The stock is going into the earnings with some high expectations, but up until now, the stock has underperformed quite a bit, as I mentioned.
All right, Sonia, you seem to be lucky for the markets. Actually, we have recovered. We are virtually at the high point of the day. So good going. 10,700 is almost here. So keep an eye out on that mark as well. It's a gradual recovery that we're seeing. Tata Motors, that's one stock that's done quite well. Tata Steel as well has spiked up in the last few minutes. So they've recovered from the low point of the day. So keep an eye out on that front as we speak. And the breadth of the market. Now we have nearly around 700 stocks that are advancing in comparison to around 1,390 stocks that are declining. By the way, keep an eye out on Polaris Consulting. Nimesh has been looking at that very, very closely. He says that, in fact, over 1.5 crore shares of Polaris have been tendered at a price of around 480. And I think today is the last day, if I'm not mistaken, of tendering in those shares. The stock is up and about, up close to around 8.2%. Promise, let's get chatting with the management of RPG Life. They posted a rather steady set of numbers in the third quarter. It was driven by both the domestic as well as the international businesses. The revenue and the API business have also seen a good growth in this quarter. To understand what's going on there, the stock has recovered, by the way, from the low point of the day. We have with us Mr. Ranganathan, the MD of the company, who joins us to discuss details. Hi, sir. Thanks so much, sir, for joining in. Well, I was just reading a press release. Your global generics business, that has given a growth of around 190%. Domestic formulation is up around 37%. First things first, what is the mix of your domestic and exports business? If you could give us a revenue breakup in percentage terms.
See, revenue breakup wise, as always, the domestic that contributes around 65% and the international business around 35%. What is most critical is the mix has come quite favorable in this third quarter. So the domestic growth is registered 37% with a good profitability, and international API has registered a strong growth which is coming out very strongly, and also along with the GG business. So overall, all three product range segment is done very well. So we had a fantastic quarter last quarter.
Okay. Mr. Ranganathan, good afternoon, sir. Within domestic formulations, could you tell us what has been the growth amongst the new segments and what's the outlook there?
First of all, heritage products, our legacy has done extremely well. Plus, some of the new products we launched like XMAB and also the Darvapaitin started showing a good trajectory in nephro care. So nephro, oncology is also showing up well now. Oncology, nephro and main division started having a good mix. So this quarter has come out very well.
All right, Mr. Ranganathan, if you could help us out, sir, with your margin profile. I was looking at the past few quarters. You were doing between 9 to around 10.5% at best. Now for this quarter, you've done 12.5% in terms of margins. Is this number sustainable? Going ahead, can we work with these kind of margins? And what caused such a big expansion on a year-on-year basis? It's closer to 250 basis points.
It is mainly because the API has come out with a good combination contribution that has got a higher margin. API. And also our domestic market margin is consistently strong.
So, but can we work with these margins going ahead as well?
I think it's too early, a little bit early, but we want to be consistent around that range. So we are trying to bring that range.
Okay. Sir, there's a US FDA audit due at Ankleshwar. Am I right? Any update on that?
We are getting ready for US FDA auditing, but readiness work is going, but not now. So it will take some time. Once it is ready, we will come back to you.
Okay, in FY18, would you know?
I'm not optimistic of FY18, but 19 we are looking at optimistic at this point of time.
All right, Mr. Ranganathan, if you could tell us, in the first 9 months of this year, you've done around a 13% growth on the top line. You're talking about various segments and various portfolios are looking up, as you said, your product mix as well as changing. For FY19, your investors would like to know, what kind of a revenue number do you have in mind? Are you looking at a double-digit growth from FY19 in comparison to FY18? We're almost done with FY18. That's why I'm asking you about FY19.
So FY18, we had a challenge in the first quarter because of GST. Now we recovered from that. By and large, we are averaging around 17 to 18% kind of a growth. So we are optimistic that of maintaining that level of a growth. Our intent is to grow higher in the industry, so that next year we can be positive, we can look for that kind of a growth. That's our expectation.
All right, Mr. Ranganathan, thanks so much, sir, for stopping by and giving us all those details. All the best for the fourth quarter and all the best as well for FY19. Well, the stock has recovered considerably from the low point of the day. I think the street likes the management commentary as well. But we have a recovery that's going on in our own market, so just keep an eye out on that fact. We have close to around 700 stocks that are advancing now. When we started the show, it was 500, then it moved to 600. Now 700 stocks advancing. So that's a good recovery from the lows of today. Even the Nifty bank, now it's down only around 1%. In early morning trade, it was down close to around 2%. SBI, Axis Bank, there are a couple of banks that are fighting for the Nifty as we speak. Even from the broader market, some of those F&O stocks, they're showing a good recovery. BEML, that stock was down close to around 3.5–4%. It's all on the verge of moving into the green. India Bulls Real Estate, that's taken a sharp knock from the recent high, so that as well is recovering. And Amara Raja as well is up only around 1.5%, but the entire 1.5% has come just in the last 30 minutes.
The equity market, there's definitely some bit of buying that's coming through, but we're still down about 200 points on the Sensex. So let's take stock of the commodities space. Manisha Gupta is here to give us a quick roundup. Manisha, what's happening in your end?
Oh, well, there's a lot of selling that you've seen in the non-agro space, but one of the agro commodities which actually seems to be doing well actually is the sugar prices. The expectation on the street is that the government can come out with a change in sugar policy sometime this week, and that clearly has been supportive. Remember, government has been collecting data in sense of prices, output, and the losses that the markets have been making. And there you have, after nearly 15% decline in sugar prices in this season that starts from 1st of October, you have some buying coming in, some green on your screen when it comes to sugar. Well, the expectation is that you will see import duty come in. It is at at 50% right now. That can be hiked to 100%. The export duty of 20% could be scrapped, and there could be some subsidies coming in for exports as well. So all of those things is what the markets are waiting for, and that is clearly finding its way into those prices. But Aurobindo Gayan now joins us with his strategies on that space. Aurobindo, hi. What are you looking at when you see the agriculture commodities? Clearly, sugar has been trading firm. Expectation on policies there. What is your sense on prices going forward for that one?
Well, I think it's been a long-awaited point that everyone is expecting some sort of government intervention should be seen. I think this week, as we are talking about, any change or any increment in the import duty is definitely going to have an impact on the prices, and we have seen the wholesale prices are trading steady, and I think some more bullishness could be seen. So I think positive trend could be maintained in the short run.
So that's one commodity that actually, of course, is trading quite in the positive. But what is also your sense coming in for the metals as a space now? Because heavy profit taking in the global markets, even as the China kicks in, PMI numbers came in positive. Clearly, the sector has shrugged it off.
Yeah, I think post the non-farm payrolls data that came out last week, which turned out to be good, and the Chinese numbers come out with, I think excessive gains that we have seen in most of the base metals are now seeing some sort of profit booking on some of the main metals. I think zinc is one of the commodities that we have seen multifold gains in the prices historically, but then I think it is continue to hold strong resistance around $3,600. I think we might see some sort of price correction in zinc as well as copper in this week. So I think I would refrain from making a fresh buying here. Rather, I would suggest to go short from higher levels.
A quick word on the crude oil prices also, because yet another week where we have started on a weaker note. Where do you see a support come in? Because when you look at the longer term, almost everybody from JP Morgan to Morgan Stanley to Goldman Sachs are bullish in the crude oil prices for the coming 3 to 6 months. But for the near term, where is the support?
To be very precise, very near-term perspective, I would say, I think for WTI crude oil, which is almost at $65, I think we should look at 63 as a very strong support level. If that is not breaking, I'm sure it will again hit towards $67, which we had seen last week. So basically, the price band of $63 to $67 is something that is expected. Nonetheless, as everyone are talking about the bullish bet on the long term, I think I would continue to see that crude oil might go above $70 as well.
And how would that multiply for or calculate for the Indian markets?
I think I should be looking at rupee movement now. It is around above 64, so it should be 4,400 to 4,500 rupees per barrel.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much, Aurobindo, as well as Manisha, for joining in and running us through all the commodity action. By the way, sticking with that, take a look at Ferrous Company, Kalyani Steel. They've come out with a set of numbers, a bit of a degrowth on the top line. The operating profit as well is sharply lower. There's a margin compression of around 40 basis points approximately. Remember, they're not integrated in terms of iron ore. Coke prices as well have been moving higher. And that's telling you why, in fact, these numbers are looking a tad bit disappointing. Year to date as well, the stock has corrected close to around 10%. And from the highs as well, on the back of higher input costs, we have seen that the stock has seen a sharp correction. But it's not just Kalyani Steel. We had Vardhaman Acrylic as well that came out with a set of numbers. So there was a sharp margin expansion. So that stock as well is up close to around 10% as we speak. So select, segments of strength is what we're seeing. And Bombay Dyeing, that's the other stock I'm looking at. In an otherwise dull market, the stock is up close to 18%. Sumera.
Nigel, there's a very curious thing. We should pull up the mid-cap index. At one point, it looked like the mid-cap index was just about to break into the green.
Yes.
And just when I was waiting for the green tick to come, it has, lost about a 0.25% in quick succession. So from the top, you can see a nick coming through.